I finally completed my moon phase resin wall hanging. This was a 2-layer pour, and I used some delicate white flowers. And of course, the star of the show are the inner layers of a lunaria pod. I will explain more about those because they're super neat. These are Let's Resin molds, and at the time when I went to buy them, they were sold out. I believe as of right now they are in stock, but only for people in the US, unfortunately. The mold also comes with a second set. It's a little smaller and a little bit different. I decided I wanted to try this one first and see how that came out. As you can see, I've used 2 chains to kind of even out the pressure on these eye hooks. It is about 12 ounces of resin, so it's not exactly lightweight, but not exactly super heavy either. Right now I have it held into the wall by a thumbtack, and it seems to be doing okay. So overall, I am very happy with this, but this being my first time, I would have done a few things a little bit differently. Stick around for those tips and bits of wisdom after the tutorial. Back at it again with another Let's Resin mold. They just got cool stuff, you know, they're just like killing it. Dominating the mold market. Why am I cutting this? I think it's already open. Oh. It's cool because with those bags they send it in, you can store your molds in those and not get fuzzy stuff all over them. They're 2 different sizes. Someone did recommend to get 2 of these. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get 2 of these, but I panicked because apparently they're kind of hard to get. They've been out of stock for a while, and I just like saw that they were in stock and I was just like, smash cart button, smash pay. So if these work out and they're a big hit, I might order another. I've been having problems with getting things to look like twins and not sisters, so that would help eliminate that kind of, unless it was like a super simple pour. Bobby's Breath, and then we have German Status, which I'm running really low on. I'm either have to grow some or get some delivered, and this is really cool. So these are called lunaria pods. Lunaria is a flower that grows these really cool seed pods, and the reason they're called lunaria is because they have this really cool, when you peel apart like 2 layers of this pod and you get the seeds inside, the paper that's in the middle is this really cool waxy, iridescent, a see-through kind of amazing little marvel of nature, and I think it would be really cool to put it into this moon mold. I actually harvested the seeds and I'm thinking about selling them, so if you want to grow yourself some cool seed pods to put in a resin, I'll have those up pretty soon. So yeah, I think it will be cool to maybe have them in this part. I have no idea what they're going to do in the resin, but I think this will be cool. I think I'm just going to do a black backing on it, so these white botanicals really pop. First thing I'm going to do is arrange these how I want them. I'm very excited to demold these. From what it looks like, they look really awesome. Just a few bubbles here and here, which, you know, what can you do? But I think I will do this one first. Ooh, they're really stuck in there, huh? Ooh. That's pretty cool. You can almost make like a little necklace out of that. I like the way the black contrasts against the white flowers. They almost look like little stars, which is really adorable. Now for the full moon. Whoa. Very cool. These pods perform beautifully. They still retain their shiny opalness. And besides these two bubbles, I'm pretty happy with it. Looks like they might have cured a little bit at an angle, if you can see that. Trying to really need to figure out my level game, because if you put it on white, you can kind of see this is kind of translucent and then too opaque, but that also kind of looks cool. So I'm gonna have to do another round of these three and then add some sort of attachments to hold them all together and make them into a wall hanging. So here's my second batch. The black on these came out a little bit thicker, a little bit more opaque, but that's okay, because once they're hung up on the wall, you won't be really able to see that. So I came up with this jig as a way to evenly space out my points where I will drill in and attach some eye hooks so I can actually hang up this wall hanging. So I'm gonna line it up. And then take a sharp tool and make a little mark. So I have my little marker spots to where I'm going to start drilling, and I'm just going to use my hand drill, which will be a tiny bit smaller than my little eyelet here. These eyelets are not as big as I'd like them to be, but hopefully they will do the job. And the fact that we have two chains coming off, it will mean that the hold from the eyelets will be a little bit stronger. Now you do want to pre-drill a hole for the eyelets. If you don't, you run the risk of either breaking the end of the eyelet off or cracking your resin in half on a smaller piece. So definitely on a bigger piece, I feel like the eyelet is just gonna, if you try and force it in there, the leverage will just break the eyelet. So that's why you always want to pre-drill a hole. So I've been working on getting these what are they called? Eye screws? I forget what they're called. And I just tried to screw one of these in and it broke off. I can show you. I was using a lot of leverage with my pliers to screw it in, and as I suspected, it broke off in the resin piece. So what I did is I drilled another hole, and now I'm thinking I'm going to size up my drill bit. So from this size, I'm sorry I don't know the specific sizes, but usually what I do, I will line it up with the threads on the screws and kind of see if they're bigger. So for this size, I might have to use some glue just to add some extra. I wish I had a size in between this and this, but I don't. So if you're gonna do this, to avoid having to drill another hole, I would do it on a practice piece of resin to make sure you have the right size drill bit and the right size eyelet, eye screw, and try the size and tell you how it goes. So what I'm doing is I'm just going in to my previously drilled hole just to make it bigger and seeing how this fits in. Yeah, that'll just sit in there, but I'm gonna try and screw it in. There's a bit of resistance, but not so much that I have to use pliers. Yeah, that went in pretty well. I don't think it's going anywhere. Pulling pretty hard, but it is kind of twisting, so if you want, you could add a little bit of glue in there just to add some strength to that. But since there are 2 per piece, I don't think that it'll be going anywhere, but I guess we can test that. So I'm gonna do this on the floor because I have 0 space on my desktops right now, but first I'm gonna catch this Pokemon. Nice. All right, so the way that these go, the molds, remember the molds come like this, but you want to invert them like that. And they're gonna have not equidistant spacing, if that makes sense, because you want them, this is gonna be nerdy, but in design, things might not necessarily be spaced the same amount, but they will look spaced the same amount. Basically, if you space out letters equidistant from each other, it's gonna look weird. So this is like kerning, but for moon crescents. And I'm gonna get spacing that I'm happy with. So I'm gonna put them together with some chain, and when I cut my chain, I will measure it like that and then snip off the desired amount. Chains. Now remember, you're gonna need a jump ring too. Yay! And for our hanging boy, we just need that much. Now for our jump rings. And by the way, I'm doing this on a tablecloth because I have a carpet, and a lot of small things can get lost in carpet very easily.
All the small things get lost in my carpet.
First, what I'm gonna do, I don't want the chain to be like twisted, so it kind of just naturally unravel. And there you go, there's your hanging piece. Now what I'm gonna do is kind of just eyeball, see if they're even, and hook them on to the next moon phase. What do you guys think? Do you think that it being equally spaced is okay? Or should we nudge this one in a little bit? I think we need to nudge this one a little bit. I think that looks better. So yeah, in the end, I snipped them down to 16 lengths long, except for these, which are 12. So I think I am happy with the 2 strings because it adds more stability if you're just like hanging it a little bit away from a wall or in the middle of a room, instead of it doing like a twisty mobile thing. You can just hang it and it'll stay put. Oh no. gonna glue that guy in. So a few things I would have done differently are get 2 sets of molds. If you plan on pumping these out like crazy, definitely get 2 sets. It helps with the consistency and goes faster since you're only 1 pour and then this would be the other pour. So yeah, with 2 you actually get this piece and this piece. You end up saving a lot of time. Second tip, I would have made my black layer on the back a little bit thicker and screw the screws into there. You can see the screws a little bit in the clear part of the resin. Doesn't bother me too much, but I think it would have looked a little bit cleaner with the screws hidden behind that layer of black resin. And that is if you're doing a 2-layer and a dark color. Lastly, I would have tried and avoided more of the little bubbles on top of the lunarias, but it's not that big of a deal. It being a wall hanging, you're not really like super close up to it all the time. But you know, the perfectionist in me would like the bubbles to be gone. I hope this video was informative and helpful, and if it was, make sure you leave a like for me and for the YouTube algorithm. I make weekly resin videos or craft related videos, so make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hang out with me while I craft. If you have any questions, comments, please leave a comment below and I will make sure to answer your questions and comments.